Okay, now we have a very interesting gospel reading for the 15th Sunday in Ordinary Time from St. Luke. And so, and of course we have the quote on the screen, who is my neighbor? So, in accordance with that quotation, do you have any observation on the reading?
Yeah, the way when Jesus asked the priest or the Levite or the Samaritan, which one of those three make the right thing? So the Samaritan, they not even see who it is or religion or he just act like a mercy to the person who needed in a moment. That's the difference between the priest and the Levite and the Samaritan. So it can assume it is like an act, a moral act, because he showed compassion to the people, to the men.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. Other observation.
Another observation, adding on to what he mentioned previously, was that the Samaritan chose to be guided by God. The Good Samaritan put aside the law in order to help somebody. So it brings on the question: do you choose the law, or do you choose to do what's right?
Okay.
I think a lot of people has the same question: how is to get eternal life? I think today a lot of people has the same question, but Jesus says, what's right in the law, and my question is, how to love others as myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, okay, the thing is this, no? We have to think about this. It's not... What Christ is telling us is this, that the priests and the Levites, they were most probably they were think about the responsibilities in the temple. So if the man who was robbed was dead, then they could not do their work in the temple. That would prevent them. So what happened now, if that's the case, is that first and foremost in their mind was their obligation to the law, and not to the obligation to the one who needed it. Now the Samaritan most probably is not even a Samaritan by race, but maybe a Jew who was not in compliance strictly with the law. So they called them Samaritans also. But for him, it was compassionate. Not because he disregarded the law, but maybe because he was really a good person. And so that's the case. Each one has its own reason, depending on which one what was guiding them, the law or the compassionate heart of the person. And now, going to the question, I hope we can understand it, no? Okay, now the question of Miguel about about loving oneself. Again, it all depends on what we mean by loving oneself. Because according to the Jewish people, the neighbor was a fellow Jew. Okay? The neighbor was a Jew, not the person outside the law. So, in that case, that's why the scribe asked Jesus, who is my neighbor? But for them it was a legitimate question, because for them they believed that their neighbor was always the Jew, no other people, not the Gentiles, but the Jew. So for them it's very clear. But he asked Jesus, again to trap him, who is my neighbor. And Jesus Christ gave us this parable to show them, who the neighbor is. Now, and so, if you were thinking like a Jew, I love the Jewish people. I follow the law. And so, when you think that way, I would love my neighbor, my fellow Jew, as long as he does what I'm doing according to the law. And that's how I love them. So if I love them like that, then I will try my best for this person to do what I'm doing in accordance with the law. You see that? Love your neighbor as yourself. I love myself. I want to go to heaven. I will follow strictly the law. Now, if I love this person, I'm going to convert him so he can do everything I'm doing in accordance with the law. You understand? That's the idea of the Jew. No? I will love them as I love myself. I love myself because I'm following strictly the law. And so my goal is for this person to know what I know and to follow strictly the law. The way I do it. That's how I show my love for this person. That's why for example, you can say like, okay, you're a Catholic. How do you gain salvation? Oh, being baptized, by receiving First Communion, baptism, confirmation, all those things, and doing all these requirements. So, if I have to love this person, I'm going to convert him to Catholicism. I'm going to teach him everything I know so he can do what I'm doing. That's how much I will love you. Right? Can you follow? It's the same, es igual. ¿No? Entonces, en vez de realmente, instead of our understanding God, we put our tradition and idea of the church ahead. No? And that's why it's very strong in the mentality of even the young people. Because Independence Day we had this mass, and I asked them, what is your role as a Catholic? Oh, we have to defend our faith. So I said, defend your faith? I think the best way to explain is to share your faith. Because what do you defend? The little thing that you know? Huh? You're going to defend that? Against whom? And that's the mentality of the Catholics, to defend it. And yet they do not know much about their faith except tradition and customs. And that's why they're defending that. For example, the thing of the saints, they bless their saint like that, and they do the holy water and they touch the saint and then they bless themselves. How does non-Catholic see that? It's blasphemy. It's idolatry. What's idolatry? It's adoring images. That's how they see us. And we're angry with them. We have to defend it. No. See? We are defending something that we don't understand. And this is what's happening. No? That's why, so instead of sharing, now, if you analyze that example, what are you going to share? I think I would be ashamed if I tell them, oh yes, I believe in the sin, that's why I'm robbing this statue and I'm blessing myself. I would be put ashamed. I will be ashamed of doing say that, but no, they accept it. And that's what we're going to defend. But that's what they see in us doing. Can you understand what I'm saying? So to answer that question depends on what you believe. No? You love yourself because you're doing all these things. Then if I love you, I will have to convert you so you can do what I'm doing. The way I know. Can you understand? That's the thing. And that's what we're doing, trying to do. So we convert them to be Catholics in tradition, customs, and all those things. Not really as a disciple of Jesus, which is really not very wrong. So, And if we are convinced of that, like the scribes and the Levite and the priest, they will be strictly following that. And I remember this example when I got here in 1978. One of the first sermons I heard. That's why I cannot forget it. On a Sunday, given Sunday, the priest shared with us what happened before the Mass. A family was there, and they were arrived before the Mass, and they were very proud. The father was very proud because he told the priest, "You know, on our way to church, we saw an accident. They were covered with blood, children and adults. But you know, Father, we did not stop because we would be late to Mass. Huh? We'd be late for Mass. So we did not stop. We want to be here on time." That's a modern example of the parable. Huh? And I read this parable, the gospel, I was reminded of that. And it happened here in Fresno. That story happened in Fresno. No? Instead of helping the people bleeding on the roadside, they ignored them because they would be late to church for the Mass. No? So in their thinking, it's more important to be there on time instead of helping the needy who were bleeding. The gospel today, the parable of Jesus, tells us the same thing. No compassion. But the law was first and foremost in their mind. And that's how, when we do not understand who we are, we're bound to do the same thing. So it's not only in the New Testament or in the Bible, it's happened here. And I was a witness to that. No? So can you see that? Still it's sad, no, when it happens in the church. We missed the point of Jesus. We missed the whole thing. So the next question is, how do you value your Catholic faith? You're being Catholic. Who are we now, really? Who are you as a Catholic? Who your allegiance, your loyalty? Is it the church or to God? No? Not necessarily that the church is telling us to do this, but in our mind we think that way. No? The tradition of the church must be upheld. No? The law of the church must be first. No? See that? And I think we have to change our way of thinking, because otherwise we're not doing the work of Jesus. We're not doing the work of God. Let me propose to you, as Catholics, we have to be grateful to God for choosing us to be disciples of Jesus. So He can use us, no, to heal the world. So we're grateful for being Catholics in that way, because now we can do the work of God. Not because we have our own church, we are the right one, no, but because we can do the work of Jesus. We are the hands, the mouth, the feet of Jesus now. And I see my vocation as Catholic in that way. Not as somebody who's better than the rest. No. Christ called me to serve other people so they can be saved also. Huh? And we should think that way. So the question, who is my neighbor? Christ tells us, anyone who needs your help is your neighbor. Yeah. And you are a neighbor to that person. So anyway, I hope and those who are watching us, please, if you have questions and or ideas, whatever, just let us know. We are talking about what's happening in the world today and what's happening in the church. We want for you to see the relevance of our faith to the realities of the modern world, to see if we are doing the work of Jesus or not. Thank you.